The Three Sisters is a Native American agriculture practice for growing beans, corn, and squash together in tandem. Each sister supports and is supported by the others so that all may benefit. In the spirit of the Three Sisters, Cowan Community Action Group Incorporated, Cane Kitchen, and the City of Whitesburg Farmers Market work together to grow a healthier and stronger community. Thank you for taking your time to see what is happening in the gardens, kitchens, and markets of our communities.
We've been making molasses just about as long as I can remember. Back in the 80s, we made it at Ulvey, family farm there in Ulvey. My dad and his brother, Big, and his family, JP and Randy, and Anna Gay and Jerry and Gary and Becky, they all helped us out. We all did it there. Tanny would always come by and her crew. We made it, it was just an annual event that the family would always get together and have a great time doing this kind of thing. Basically, making molasses is just kind of a lot of work, not a whole lot of reward, but we still enjoy it simply because it's more of a family get-together. As you can hear in the background, we got a lot of kids, a lot of people having fun, and that's what we do. We started making molasses here, where we're at now, about 5 years ago. My mother and dad, they willed this property to me, and I decided that we'd go ahead and start making molasses here. We built us a little shed here, and I started growing the cane here.
Years ago, probably over 20 years ago, one of my cousins and myself, we decided we wanted to try to make sorghum, and we had a good friend that made it. And of course we went to his stir-offs and we decided to do it ourselves. So we got us had a pan made. I found a cane mill off of a lady down on Line Fork and bought it. We refurbished it, got it going, got it working, and we're still using it today. But things have changed. We started down at Uva, stayed down there for probably 10, 12 years, not longer, and sort of worked it out down there, I guess. And we're up here today. This is on my family's land, my mother and dad, and it's a good place to grow cane, good place to have family reunions is about what it amounts to, because practically everyone here is family, or close friends also.
Used to, some of our relatives had a stir-off down at Ulvey, and we decided that we wanted to have one of our own closer to home. So here we are. And Frank used this bottom to plant the cane in it, so it's turned out great, but we enjoy it. Look forward to it. This has been going on for several years. It's gotten to be an annual event, and we really enjoy it with so many friends and neighbors, and the Lord's given us a beautiful day today, and I look forward to it. It's a hard work, but we have fun and enjoy having all of our friends here too.
And that's basically what we've done. We start growing cane early May, early to mid-May, normally around the 10th to the 15th of May. Takes about 135 days. We count it off. It's either the last weekend in September, first weekend in October, we do the stir-off. So everybody pretty well knows when we're going to be doing the stir-off. So we start out about the whole week. It's kind of molasses week this week is. We start out first of all by stripping the cane. A couple of us, 2 or 3 of us got out here and we stripped the leaves off the cane out here in the field. And we got it ready. And then a day or 2 later, had a whole crew of friends and neighbors come by. Eric and Hip and Jeremy and Deeb. We had a good crew. Jess. We cut the cane, loaded it into the cart, hauled it over here to the mill to get it ready to be squeezed and get the juice out of it.
Sure did.
Look at this. You know what that is? Beavers. That's what's doing that. See that's where the fence down right there? And look that over here.
They got a little path coming up out of the river there.
Oh yeah. Last year they cut about every bit of it down and made a dam out of it down here. But this year, I had that fence up, but obviously they've come. You can see where they've dragged the. You can see where they've dragged the cane through there and wore the fence down. And they actually have just begun to get it. They really don't eat it. What they do is they build with it. There's a railroad track crossing right there, and they're bad to drag it down there. And last year they had a whole dam built out of molasses, sorghum, and cane here. We'll go down here and try to clean up a little bit. Let's start right in here, Jack. You can look at that stuff and see how tall it is. It's probably about 13, 14, 13, 12, 13 foot tall. It's big stuff, but it should do pretty well. One of the things they do to determine if it's ready or not, you got to check the seeds here. Them seeds, they go through a whole bunch of different phases. And they say the soft dough to the hard dough stage is the best. When you look at it, if it's hard, soft dough, you can get it, and if you can squeeze it with your fingernail and the juice don't come out, you know you're pretty good. And that's about where we're at. That one's pretty hard, but you know there's nothing running out of it. You can see it again on these. So we're in a pretty good stage, I think, for it to be done. This stuff's about 139 days old right now, about 135 usually what we go for. But you can see it's soft and doughy, which is exactly where we wanted it. I'm hoping. Cane grows a whole lot like corn. And it grows like corn, and we kind of tend it a whole lot like corn. We'll plow through it, we can spray it and kill the weeds out, and it doesn't kill the cane, kind of like a grass form. When it gets up so big, you can look at the seeds, and you can tell a whole lot by the seeds when this stuff is done. It goes through different stages, but the soft dough stage, when the seed reaches that, which is kind of where it's hard, you can squeeze it with your fingernail, but milk and juice doesn't run out of it. That's typically the soft dough. Once it gets a little bit harder, it's a little harder to cut with your fingernail, and that's kind of the hard dough stage. But typically somewhere around the soft dough, hard dough stage is when we know it's done. Now, we know this cane's pretty much a 135-day cane. So basically, I'll plant it, look on the calendar, figure out when 135 days is, and usually I'll go like 4 or 5 days later. And that way we'll know it's good. And basically, we've never failed simply by following that time limit. This year's been kind of tough because we got a bunch of it blowed down. But you know, it didn't break it off, and as long as it don't break it off, it'll probably be just fine. This vine growing's a darn sweet potato vine. I've got sweet potatoes growing right there. Maybe I have to take over the cane if I didn't expect that. But, oh, look at that. Normally we'd have a lot more workers here, but I just kind of started early. They'll start showing up. They start filtering in. They understand it's got a whole lot of work, not much pay. Friends and neighbors around here. Now, one of our neighbors, Hazel Campbell Jr. lives out there. He comes and helps. And Renee, she always cooks us some good beans, which I will bring that up to her again when we start eating, and other stuff. And then, you know, there's a bunch of guys I fill cornhole with. They're always fun. Dip, Eric, Jeremy, Brad, Dee, they show up. And Jess, my brother, and his son Jason, they usually show up. Sometimes I can get Chris, my nephew Chris, but it's mostly kind of family, close friends we got around.
For this event to happen, we start in May. We plant cane, we plant enough where we have extra for the stir-off. Always got to have extra. If you don't have enough, you ain't going to have a good stir-off. So we plant the cane usually around first, second week in May. And when it comes up, probably 6 inches or so, we spray it and fertilize it. And just keep an eye on it. May have to run a tiller through it or something.
The hardest part about it, man, it starts in the spring. I have to till and plow and plant, and then we have to fight the weeds and the vines and the bugs and all that stuff throughout the whole year, keeping the beavers out. We've had a terrible time with beavers getting in this thing, and deer getting in there and riding it down. But, you know, we fight those things off, and eventually we take care of business, and works out good for us.
But it grows. It'll grow 8-10 foot tall, big cane. And usually late September, 1st October, it will mature enough to where we can stir off. That's mature means it's got enough sugar in it to make sorghum.
Then comes the work right before, you know, all the stripping that we do, the cutting that we have to do. That's a whole lot of intense work that we have to maybe be ready to do those days.
But they do a lot of work in it. But it has really paid off, so we just look forward to it. A friend of mine was here one year, and we'd been here all day, and I don't know how long it took to get done. And I told him, I said, Jim, you've heard the expression, slow as molasses. Now you know what we're talking about. It's an all-day job.
We have to cut it, strip it. Strip it means taking all the fodder off of it. And cut the heads off, of course. And then we run it through the mill. The mill squeezes all the juice out of it. We catch it in buckets. We run it through a screen and then a cotton pillowcase as such to get everything we can out of it, because you want a clean product. And once we have it in the pan and the fire under it and it starts boiling, the chlorophyll will come to the top. That's the green part that you see in the juice that when we're making it. We skim it off, because if you don't, it'll be right in the sorghum and it's real bitter tasting. It's not good. So we get it all off, and when it gets down thick enough, we take it off, we bottle it, and that's it.
Good Lord bless us with a good day to do it, I'll tell you that, though. Which that's one of the best things about this. It's the prettiest time of the year, and it's a great time to be out working and reaping the harvest. And I'll tell you what, Debbie makes some of the best gingerbread out of this stuff that I've ever eaten. Kind of hard time keep that girlish figure as long as she's making that ginger beer. This cane is M81E. I think it's produced maybe in Mississippi State or UK, but that's where the seed comes from. I think Jess got this seed from UK. So the thing about this cane is it grows really tall, and it may be a problem. It grows so tall and the head gets so heavy that it has a real tendency to blow over. But just about every year, our cane, when that head gets on it, it gets so heavy, winds up blowing over. But even then, you know, if it doesn't break, it still is going to have the same sugar content, and it produces a whole lot of juice. So it's a pretty good cane. We can't complain about it. When the cane blows over, it lays down. Sometimes, a lot of times, vines will grow over. We got a cucumber vine and all kinds of different vines that grow over, and it's kind of difficult. You have to get down and dig through it to get the leaves off of it, to get it stripped. Then you have to dig through it to cut it off and get it out. So it's a little bit more difficult when it's blown over. It's better if it's standing. But even then, once it's blown over, if it doesn't break off at the bottom, it's still producing the juice and it still works out pretty good. If it's laid down and not broken, you can see how that is. It's kind of a pain to do, but still, we can use it. Normally what we make is about a maximum of 10 gallons. The way this stuff works, unlike maple syrup, this is like about a 10-to-1 ratio. And the tub we got holds about right at 100 gallons. We got it measured out and done the math on it. It's about a 100-gallon tub, so we can get close to 10 gallons. Normally we'll get right at 10, 9.5, 9 gallons. So we do pretty good. And that's plenty enough to keep all our friends and neighbors stocked up in molasses for the year. And as far as, like you say, as far as making money, well, we don't do it as a money-making enterprise. I know some people do, and I guess there's some money to be made in it. I just haven't figured out how to do it yet. We've had a wet year this year, a lot of rain, which probably puts a lot more water in the syrup itself. May make the bricks be down a little bit, but it should be like 12, 13. And get right in here and start pulling leaves.
Is it any good, Frank?
Oh yeah, it'll be fine. It's not broke off, it's just kind of bent over. Sometimes it's broke, but typically if it's just bent over, it's still getting nourishment from the soil. It'll be fine, I think. It hasn't been broke over actually that long.
I'm 89 years old, and I'm just so blessed. Of course, I'm slowed down quite a lot, but who wouldn't at 89? But the Lord's given me all these long years, and I just enjoy life. I'm still kicking, just not too high.
Mom and Dad are kind of responsible for it all. We call this Frogman Molasses. And the reason we call it Frogman is Dad in World War II was a frogman. And his job was he was underwater demolition. And he dove and blew up submarines and did all kinds of crazy stuff that I don't even know what all went on, but he talked a little bit about it. Actually wouldn't talk a whole lot about it. But being a frogman, I think, is a pretty big deal. And being he is a frogman, I decided we was going to name this Frogman Molasses after him. And it's kind of a thing of pride to know that he served the military and served us so well as a frogman. We made molasses back in the 80s, early 80s. We made molasses then. He was around at that time helping us make molasses. He is actually, when we were first making it, he was kind of the man. You always have to have somebody. He was always the man that says, it's done, let's get it off. Now's the time. And we didn't take any temperatures. We never had bricks meters. We did it because we could look at it, we could tell when it was stringing, tell by the color of it, by the thickness of it. That way we knew when it was getting done.
I have a wonderful family. I was blessed with a husband that I loved with my whole heart and who loved me. And I give a lot of that credit to the way our children turned out. Love is very important in a family. Just between not just a husband and wife, but for the children, let them that their parents set an example for them, that loved. And I had a great husband. I loved him so much, and I miss him. I suppose I'll miss him as long as there's breath in my life. But I've adjusted. I've adjusted to living alone. You can't continue with that horrible grief constantly. You die. But I have wonderful memories, and I still have a good life. Because I'm proud of them. I've just been blessed with good children.
I was here last year when they was doing a stir-off because I worked out of town then, and it was a pretty good time, but I knew I'd have to help strip and cut this year if I moved back, so.
Are you kin to Frank?
Well, not yet. I'm marrying his daughter, so I'm the future son-in-law.
So you don't mind putting you to work?
No, I worked in that greenhouse when I first moved back a little bit, helping transplant some lettuce and stuff like that. And every chance that we got, or I got to help out, I did. I enjoyed it.
Do you enjoy doing this?
Yeah, it ain't that bad. I mean, not too hot out, not too cold. I love this time of year.
How's it going over there, Jerry?
It's going pretty good. I'm going to have to work my way around that side again.
Yeah, I've got to get on that side. I'm still probably not getting it all, but we'll get a whole lot of it off this. Once we start cutting it, we'll be able to probably get most of it then once it's cut. We started doing it down Olvie, probably, I don't know, 10, 15 years, maybe 20 years ago. And we all done it down there, all the dad's people and all my cousins, and we all done it down there. And we've done it down there for a while, and then we've done it here since, I think, 2017. Yeah, maybe 2016 we started here, and we've had a lot of success. Every year we've actually done pretty good with the cane. Except last year, I don't know if you recall, we had a drought, and the cane really didn't do that well. And then what did make it, the beavers that you saw what's happening there, I mean, they absolutely decimated this crop. They carried it off and built that dam down there. So anyway, we went ahead and done it anyway. We didn't have much juice to start with. We boiled it down. It kind of boiled away to nothing. But still, we had food and drinks, and the whole crowd show up. We had a big time. And so I just have to count that as a success. Even though we didn't make a whole lot of cane, we still had a good time.
Last year was a complete and total disaster, washout, whatever term you want to use. But we still got together, and we still ate, visited, had a good time. And that's the main thing right there. Of course, the product did not happen. The cane just didn't do what it was supposed to. No fault of ours. It just, between the weather and the beavers, we had no luck. This year, the weather cooperated. We had real good cane. We had enough cane, and the beavers didn't take it out like they did last year.
Sometimes you can take it, just taste it and see. I believe it's going to be all right. Kind of sweet tasting. This is bricks meter. It's one I've never used these darn things before. Then I started taking all these classes, and they want you to do things the scientific way. And therefore, let's see. Get a little juice on it there. All right. Let the bricks down. should be up around 15. Or at least that's what they tell me. I'm hoping this will probably work out anyway. I planted them walnut trees out there back when I was in college. I actually had the plan I was going to plant this whole thing in walnut trees, and then I just got back to planting other stuff. But you can see how big those walnuts have got. I hate to think how long I've been in how long I've been out of college. It's been a lot longer than what I like to think. Okay, what's going to happen here is, of course, I built this furnace. It's just blocks laid up. We'll build a fire. It'll go all in here, and the panel set right on top of this furnace. Right here we got a big old chimney. I'll dig it out a little bit. But there, it'll draw, and we got a big pipe going up. Once we get that fire going, man, that whole thing will turn red. We'll get that stuff boiling good. It'll boil. It'll probably boil. Heck, for it's 5 or 6 hours. We'll end up boiling on this stuff. At the end, you want to kind of cool it, let it go real easy. But you know, when you first start, and it's got a full tank of juice, you can lay the heat to it. It'll get pretty hot. And you can see we collected wood. I've got wood piled up everywhere. I go to the sawmill and get slabs, and we've cut wood, and we'll probably bring even more wood, but we've probably got enough. And then everybody, you know, I don't know, there's just something about standing around a fire and shooting the breeze. All this stuff here is clay. I go up on there's a place around the house got that white looking clay dirt. We'll set that pan down there, and I'll wet that and mud it up. It's just like chinking around a log cabin around that pan. So none of the smoke or none of the heat comes out of it. It's just kind of pretty well sealed all the way around. It'll be all right. We'll get the fire, and it'll draw good up through there, and we'll have that stuff cooked off before you know it. One of the main jobs has been the fire tender. Gotta keep the fire going. I didn't really do a lot of this stuff until I retired, actually. I taught school for 10 years at lectures. Taught physics and chemistry and all that stuff, science. And then I became a game warden. Done that for 20 years. Retired from that. And then I took up farming. I guess I'll never retire from it. Seems like I go from one hard job to another one. I think we've done a whole lot more than what I actually thought we'd get done here today. One year we was down here. It was Saturday. We had the tub about half full of juice. We had to come out here and cut a bunch, and I mean we were wore out. And there was a bunch of Valerie's family was having a family reunion. Just so happened, and her brother Marshall come by and said, "Yeah, there's a bunch here from Indiana." So they won't come down here and watch us. And we said, "No, come on down." Well, they came down. I swear there's a bunch. There's probably about 15 or 20 of them, and they fell in and worked. They cut, stripped cane, cut cane. They done it all. We didn't back them people more often. They were great, I'll tell you. Just right out of the blue, here they come. They won't never be dirty.
Yeah. Right now, they're pretty.
They're gonna put you in the movie. They're gonna make a big star out of you.
Yeah, this stuff is falling over, it's a little harder.
Yeah, we've already stripped the cane, got most of the leaves off of it. You can see there's still some, but primarily we got a real fine working crew here, and we're cutting the cane, piling it up here on the trailer, getting it ready to go through the mill. We try to get the leaves off of it. We try to cut the heads off of it before we stick it through the mill. Once it goes through the mill, it's going to squeeze all that good sweet juice out of there. And we're going to wind up with, probably we're going to wind up with like 100 gallons of juice out of this cane here. And when we put it in a pan, it'll boil down. Normally it boils down to like a 10-to-1 ratio. So if we start out with 100 gallons of syrup, this cane sugar syrup here, we'll wind up with about 10 gallons of good old molasses. Should be really good. This stuff goes back for years and centuries here in the mountain. This cane does. Back, I guess, in the Depression era, the early wars or what have you, there wasn't any sugar sweetening in this country. One of the main sources of sweetening was growing cane and making molasses, so it was some of the prime sweeteners throughout there. Now I guess the tradition just still stands as far as having to have this stuff. Yeah, we could probably get by without it, but man, it makes great gingerbread, sweetener for your coffee, and just all kinds of good stuff. So we still do it. We keep the tradition alive, and it's kind of a family tradition we've been doing for years. Pretty nice. This one here is about a typical one. If you look, I'm 6 foot. I can reach about 8 foot. We've got 4 or 5 foot above that, so we've got 12, 13 foot long piece of cane here. That's how we want them to look. We like them to be clean. And then once we get it here, I'll take I've been using the knife here. A lot of times we use something else. We'll cut the head off. Once we get it clean, this is just what it's going to look like when it goes through the mill. We're going to run that through the mill, and that's going to squeeze out a whole lot of juice. I'd say we'll probably get close to a pint out of this thing right here. That's amazing how much juice will be in that.
Probably not.
That's probably what'll happen. If you look at it, we've got a lot of this stuff, and we'll wind up having a pretty good turnout of it.
We're gonna name him Sleepy because he's asleep.
Well, this process it's a time-honored process. This goes back to probably to the First World War, back during the Depression, when people didn't have sugar. They couldn't have sugar, and they raised sugar cane and made molasses, and that tended to be their sweetening that they'd have throughout the year.
It's something people, ancestors, everybody in this part of the world done it back in the early 1900s, 1920s, 30s, especially through the Depression. Everybody made sorghum back in this day because they didn't have sugar. They used sorghum as a sweetener. Most old people that you find nowadays, and I'm talking 80, 85-year-olds, they love the product. Most younger people, they sort of tolerate it. It's not what they grew up with. But now, when you grew up with it, you like it.
That's all.
What was you done without her?
I know, she's getting it done.
Yep. Oh.
I can only carry one big one.
Well, it's all right.
They ranking up on you or did you? All hard work.
We're about to find that one we was looking for here in a minute.
That last one?
That's the one.
One wing. So you cut him so they fall and hit his head.
Oh, yeah.
Hit him in the head.
There'll be a lot of juice squeezed on this.
This is what we've been looking for, the ears. We ought to leave one for next year. Leave one sticking up here.
Yeah, I don't, that meal, the meal itself is pretty darned old. Now that's kind of an engineering work of engineering genius there. You have to give credit to J.P. Campbell and Gary Pridemore, and it actually started out as a Honda car. That thing, the whole car sat there. Transmission was on it, and you'd start the car up, the engine of the car, it was through the drive shaft to the mill, and it would turn the mill. Later on, the old car finally got to where it didn't want to start as good, so we changed it over and took the front part of the car off. Actually, the body, you had to open the door to get into the car. We took the body and the engine off and rigged it up so we could hook the drive shaft from the tractor onto it. So now we'd use a tractor and a PTO on a tractor to turn the mill. Yeah, we used that back in the 80s. We've used that for a long time.
Yeah, I've been cut it before, but I never have been. I can stir off. Like I said, we have
Oh, baby, there comes that sweet nectar.
You don't drop it in. Right in. Let it go. It's gone.
Man, it's doing good.
Oh, she likes you.
All right, Em, let's let somebody else. All right. We'll put you right back in there. Get in there.
The big one I'm like, oh, wow.
It'll be your turn. Get up there. Get up there and push it in. Come to that home. That's where you're rolling. Push it. Get it. It's a pretty long process. It probably took us 3 to 4 hours to cut the cane and get it over here. Once we got it over to the mill, we dump it out and then we start squeezing it. And we run the cane through the mill, which squeezes it out the juice. And our pot over there, if you notice, it's a stainless steel pot. It's like 8 foot long, 2 foot wide, 10 inches deep. And the math tells us it's about a 100-gallon container. So we measure it by 5-gallon buckets, so we normally put 20 to 21 buckets in it. All right, everybody, let's keep a count. That's 1. Who can remember? Well,
You're young and strong.
Yeah, I remember being there. And boy, he went out there and come back and all them snakes he killed. You remember that? Yeah. He had a bunch of. Woo, that smoke falling. Well, today's my favorite part of it. When everybody comes and gets together, we play games and just get to mingle with each other and enjoy. People come in, you know, plan their vacations to come in here so we can do it. So we come in, we build a fire. There's just something about sitting around a fire to start with. We have all kinds of food, we have all kinds of people. We just have a great time doing this thing.
Well, I truly enjoy it. It makes me feel good. It makes me see people. They come around that you might not see every 6 months, maybe a year. They come from out of state to come to these stir-offs. It's simply because people we know, they want to visit just like we do. And it is a good time. Look what a day the Lord gives us. You couldn't ask for a better day and all these people here to enjoy what we're doing.
I'd say we love people. We love our neighbors. We have wonderful neighbors and friends, and it's a joy to give it to. And a lot of them come and help. You know, yesterday, all those fellas that came to help cut the cane, and they just do it on their own. And we don't do it for the money. We just do it for God's been good to us and give us all this help and these molasses, and that's the least we can do is share it. That's what we want to do.
Do we make any money with this? No, we don't. I haven't sold any molasses ever since we've been doing this. I haven't sold any molasses. You'll see people come in here, and a lot of people bring a jar with them. And when we get ready to get it off, we'll fill their jars up. And people will carry off, they'll get rewarded with a jar. And then later on, people will be wanting molasses, and we'll give it to them. And we'll get all kinds of things in return. Gingerbread, stack cakes. The rewards is a lot greater than the money that we could ever get, just simply by the treats that we'll get back from it. People love molasses in this area. They do it a lot in cooking.
The pan that he's cooked the molasses in, the fellow that made it put a faucet on one side so we could fill up some jars here. And of course we just pass them out. And you said earlier, we don't sell them. We just share it with our friends and neighbors. That's what it's for.
Basically what we do it for is just for the camaraderie that we have as a family. We come together. This is one of the best things we do as a family. It's more of a family reunion, and if you can look around, we've got extended family all over the place. People love to get together. We play games, we eat, we drink, and we just enjoy life.
No, we make absolutely no money. We lose money. It's just something we enjoy doing. We just like making the product. It's rewarding, to say the least. And, you know, all these little kids running around, they're all family, they're all cousins or brothers and sisters. They enjoy it just like moms and dads and aunts and uncles that are here. Everybody has a good time. And everybody's welcome. We've never turned anybody away. Never.
Oh, it's great. It makes it all worthwhile. If we can grow the cane, fight all the bugs, the animals, the droughts, whatever, and it comes together, culminates in this crowd coming together, and we start filling those jars up with that brown molasses, it makes it all worthwhile. You know, the kids, when they come in here, you don't see them with their Game Boys or whatever, PlayStations or whatever. They're out here running around, they're swinging sticks, they're having the greatest time. They go to the fire, they want to push stuff through the meal. It's an outdoor adventure for the kids, and it's It just makes everybody smile when you see those kids show.
I really can't tell you in words, but I think it's wonderful. We love it. We love our friends and our neighbors, and they seem to enjoy it. So it's just something that we really look forward to. And if it's ever discontinued, we'll sure miss it. But as long as those boys are able to plant that cane and do all that, I'm sure we will continue to have it. I hope so. I hope I'm still able to come to the next one. But I'm doing great. Right?
But when Amber and I decided to retire, probably when I was on leave for
Right here, this box.
2 months. My best friend did.
All right, on May 17th, I planted that field right there full of cane. We ran a tiller through it a couple of times and fertilized it and took care of it and nursed it and killed the weeds in it and made it grow. Okay, yesterday or day before yesterday, we started in a cane and we stripped the leaves off of it, most of them. And then yesterday we had a group come in and we cut all the cane. You saw it on the trailer, laid it out on the trailer, and then we run it through the mill and made all this juice that you can see right now in there. Now we've got the juice in there, and we've probably got about 100 gallons of juice. That's about what we've decided this thing will hold. And we're going to boil it. It's probably going to take 6 or 8 hours for us to do this, and it's going to boil down there. And it's normally about a 10-to-1 ratio. So if we got 100 gallons, we're going to get close to 10 gallons of molasses when we get out of there. Now this process, what we got to do is we got to keep the fire going. You can see we got a bunch of sawmill flats and junk wood and wood that we've just collected throughout the year here that we're going to burn. It's going to take a lot of wood to do this, but we'll stand around this fire here all day, and as it's boiling and it goes down, you'll see some green stuff come up to the top, and we'll continually use our little skimmers to skim the green off of it, and that's going to make it, where it's not green, it's going to make it nice and brown and good thick molasses when we get through here. So basically right now all we're doing is we're keeping the fire under it. We're going to wait till it boils down, and we hope we get the sugar content up and have a nice thick molasses turnout here.
It's between 9:30 and 10 right now. What time do you think it'll be done?
We're looking about 3 o'clock, I imagine. We'll keep a hot fire under it right now. While there's a whole lot of juice in there, we'll keep a real hot fire. Probably get it boiling real good. Now towards the end, that's when it's critical. We'll kind of cool the fire down. The molasses is probably going to reach a temperature like 228 to 230. And that's going to be the temperature that we look for when it gets done. And it becomes kind of a science versus an art thing at that time. The temperature will be right. We'll look at the color of it, and they'll have like what we call sheep eyes come up, where there'll be a big bubble, and out of that bubble it'll pop up and a little smoke will come out of the middle of that bubble. It's kind of neat to watch at the phases that it does go through. It's green now. Eventually you'll see it start turning a little brown, and it'll get a little bit browner, and then it'll look a whole lot like a peanut brittle kind of in the color. It's kind of like candy making. Once it gets through there, we used to have people come by and they'd bring a jar of water and drop it in there and make sure, see if it made a ball like candy does. And there's just all kinds of things. We'll be getting sticks and sticking in there and see if it starts stringing when it starts falling off. And there's just a bunch of tests that we'll do, and hopefully it's critical right at the end that we get it right. So that's what we're going to be doing here today.
Triple backflip.
It takes a long time to do this boiling. That's a 5 or 6 hour process. But in the meantime, we kind of have a festival here. Friends and neighbors come from all over. We have all kinds of food to eat. We talk about a lot. We meet a lot of people. We've got people that came in here from D.C. area. We've got them from Leatherwood. We've got them from all over here. Valerie comes by to the place here, and Mom comes by.
We make it simply, it's just a good get-together, a lot of friends, family, as I said before. It's just something to do. We enjoy doing it. It is work, but the final product, which is getting to visit, eat, talk, get together, and have molasses after, is a good thing.
There's a lot of love put into it. Now there is, and they would be welcome, and we'd try to make them welcome. When I see someone coming that I don't know, I try to make a point to come to them and welcome them and let them know that we're just glad to have them here. The more the merrier, I say. So And then all this food, my daughter-in-laws, what I do without my daughter-in-laws, and my daughter. We all cook and plan, and I said, it's funny, every time this family planned something, first thing we thought of, what are we going to cook? What are we going to eat?
We got some big bone of cornbread coming out a little bit and some sweet beans.
We're just cooking.
Bonnie and Martin, they're at that point getting ready for whatever meal we're going to have. Mom, she's ready to always help fix the meal too. She works big on that.
Bonnie, my sister, her family, that's always the food. Never forget the food. And she's the main player in that, to be honest, her and her husband, Martin.
You did that.
Because we want to feed everybody and want everybody to know that they are welcome. And I think most people enjoy it. I really do.
Help as much favor one of us, Lord. So we just give you the glory for all that we've got here, Lord. Bless each and every one of us. Bless this food. Give us safe travel home, Lord. In God's name we pray. Amen. Amen. Let's dig in.
The most important thing is family getting together. Families don't do that a lot nowadays. It's better to meet like this than, as they say, at the funeral home. It's really good to have people around that you love, you enjoy seeing, being around, trust.
It's probably about 1:30, 2 o'clock now. Probably about 3:30 or something. The molasses is going to start getting off, and we'll be monitoring it real closely. Try to keep the fire not hardly as hot. Make it where it's boiling at a lower temperature. We'll watch it go through all the phases. A lot of people got a whole lot of different ways in which we're going to determine when this molasses is done. You'll see them putting sticks in it and seeing if it's going to string. You'll see people measuring the temperature. See people put it on a bricks meter and see what it looks like. But basically, it's kind of an art. When it starts, it's kind of like candy. If it makes a ball in a bowl of water, that's pretty much when it's ready. Temperature is going to be 228, 230 degrees, and it's real critical that we get it off at the correct time. That's what we've got right now, about 21 buckets of syrup in there. And we started boiling about 8:30 to 9 this morning. We started the fire, and we're boiling it down now. If you look, we started out about 10, 11 inches deep, and it's down now to where it's like 4 inches deep. You can start to see it changing color. It goes from green to light brown to a darker brown, and we're getting to the stage now where it's getting kind of important.
Then these are pumpkin whoopie pies over here on the back corner.
No.
Yeah, it's not like the cheese fries there. It's not loaded.
Could be. That's probably a good estimate. We just gotta go slow right now.
Any more fire, I promise.
What's that?
The bricks meter, it kind of gives us a beginning point as to how much sugar content we have in the cane, and it varies. We're reading it's somewhere between 9, 10, 11, 12 right now, which may be a little low. I mean, at the first But I think we'll end up having a pretty good stir off eventually with it. So.
He worked a week ago. He worked 4 weeks, every day, and then he was off. Oh, Gary. Dan.
Sit down, my mama.
We're getting down close. We're really close to the bottom. It's turned brown. It's smelling pretty good. We're not getting any kind of green or any scum coming off the top. We're getting some pretty good sized bubbles. We're trying to slow the fire down, get the heat up here to about 228, 230. It's right now 217. So this is where we got to be real careful so we don't scorch it. It's pretty close to the bottom of the pan. If it gets there, we could scorch it, but we're in pretty good shape right now. We just go slow and gentle with it. It's crucial. It's starting to pop up a little bit more. We're at 218, so the temperature's moving.
You're going to get in trouble.
You got about 4 minutes.
It's real close. Color's getting good, green's all gone, it's just wait till it thickens up. He said it's not there yet, but it's in the ballgame.
He's waiting for somebody to say, okay, and he's like, all right.
You'll see it.
Roots are getting slower.
Yeah, it's not getting to 24. We're getting closer though. We're to the licks.
And all of a sudden, it just speeds up.
224. We're getting closer. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't let it. Closer, children. Getting closer. Won't be long now.
What's that, Bond?
It's wonderful. It's not that. I still think it needs to go longer.
That's a good guess.
Chase, step the bars here. We'll get ready because it's going to happen pretty quick. All right, boys, corn hullers we're going to have you here just in a minute or two.
Not this burden.
Not yet, not yet. It ain't yet.
Yes, now pretty stuff now. I'll tell you that now.
But it is hot. It's cooking hot.
We got about too much corn. It's the 30 still.
I'm just kidding. I just started.
It don't matter. Every bit of it. Everybody gets a hand.
It's a done. Oh, it's a get ready to start the string.
It's starting to cheap out, guys.
Somebody get burned.
One, two, three, live.
All right, ease it off. There you go. Take off. Let's go.
Keep her level.
Watch his block. Watch his block. Come right here to me. Go that way, stop. Come on to me. A little more to me. Come to me a little further. There, whoa. Get it down.
All right. Good?
Yeah.
Stir, baby.
All right, John.
About too hot.
Well, that's gorgeous.
You need some.
That's pretty stuff. Let's say so myself.
All right, are you ready?
Pretty good. They're good thickness. Consistency is good. Taste is, it is a little more stronger than normal, but so what? We'll do them anyway.
Oh, it's going to be great. By the time these girls get this and make gingerbread out of it, we're going to lose. And it's going to be good. What we got over there? One, 2, 3. Probably about 4 gallon there. This got a couple of gallons. We're going to have 6, 7, 8 gallons. It's been a long week with all the work we've done, and finally, at the end we culminated. We got a pretty good batch of molasses. I'd say we probably got about 7 gallons, a little bit less than what we normally do. Cleaning up the mess, everybody seems to have had a great time. We're getting ready to go out of here, and I hope to do it again next year.
How do you feel about how everything went?
Oh, everything went great. I'm tickled to death with the way things went. At the end, you know, when you make molasses, it's kind of one of those things you don't know what's going to happen. There's so many variables involved, how the cane and the fire and everything's involved. But we did very well with molasses. It's going to be pretty good, and it's going to make a whole lot of good gingerbread in the end. We'll be ordering seed here right away and planting more cane and getting ready to do it all over again. And hope we have more people when the COVID's gone and everything works out good next year.
It's hard to put it all in words, I would guess, but it is a joy for us. There's people here today that are not blood relatives, and they are welcome as anybody else. It's the main thing. It is a joy to see what happens because of us making sorghum molasses here. We're here every fall. If you want to show up, come on by.
And there's a lot of people come that I'm strangers to that I don't know, but they're welcome, and I try to speak to them and tell them, you know, we're so glad to have them here. And because everyone that comes down that hill, they're welcome. We just appreciate them so much. Love your neighbors. Get with them and enjoy them as much as you can. And I am blessed with a wonderful neighborhood here. And with my children, with all these friends that have shown up, I just think it's wonderful. I really do.
This molasses is kind of just it's a love of what we do, and it's a great time for us to get together and enjoy each other's company, especially this time of the year. October is just a great time of the year. Temperature's perfect, sky's blue, and the sun's shining bright. I'm just glad that we can all get together and thank God for this pretty day that we've got to do it, and glad you made it.